Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Thought I'd change things up a little bit today and go back to my roots, which were, if you were an original subscriber to my channel, it's all about do-it-yourself. I spent a lot of time on vibration control, do-it-yourself compared to commercial products. And I thought it was time to break up a lot of the high-end, high-price gear I've been featuring with a video that gets back to some more reasonable priced options and things that may be more mainstream. And like I showed with do-it-yourself with the speakers, the SHD, mini DSP is more reasonably priced. And then obviously the vibration control solution that I have featured in the very beginning of my channel. I thought I would go to another level of showing you do-it-yourself when it comes to room treatments, because that's one thing that we've been talking about DSP a lot and how valuable that is. But room treatments can be as much, if not more valuable, because they can correct a lot of the major problems that make DSP do a lot less work and make it more effective. So having room treatments in a room is the difference. I would say you have to have great gear, but when I have people that come into my room and consistently have them say, wow, I think it's a combination of the gear, but also they're in a room that has been fully treated and is so much different than what they're used to. That's the biggest delta. I mean, a lot of people have great gear like I have, and even pricier gear, more exotic gear. But when you combine high quality gear with a great room, that's when you get the wows that people don't hear every day. So if you haven't invested in any room treatments or don't have the budget for the commercial stuff, and just to give you, I did a video on tweaks and room treatments in the past, ASC tube traps, the GIC audio stuff, the real traps, those are all good quality third-party ones. So if you can afford those, and the Art Novia stuff that 3MA sells, if you can afford all of those, that's probably your best bet, because making your own room treatments can be a little bit of a pain, especially dealing with the insulation and how it can aggravate your skin. You got to wear gloves. And you know, if you don't have woodworking skills or don't even have the tools to cut, glue, whatever, those skills and time, you know, it's not totally easy to do. But what I thought I'd do today is show you some super easy projects that can work, at least on a small scale, something you may want to try that are super cheap. So I'm not talking about redoing exactly what a real trap or a GIC acoustics or ASC tube trap. You could do those on your own if you want, but that's a little more extensive. What I wanted to focus on is just things that may be around your house, or you can buy on Amazon for a few bucks, that you can parlay, buy a little bit, and then expound and multiply to whatever your needs are in your room. So first thing though I wanted to talk about was two things I've done in the past. I don't have, well, one thing I don't have anymore, but one thing I used in the past that was really effective. If you go into Home Depot, you can buy those big round rolls of insulation, and you can buy the whatever one is the best for acoustic insulation. And instead of visualizing it as a roll like a wheel, if you put it on its side, it's actually a disc that is very similar to what an end table would be. So if you buy a round piece of glass and maybe some burlap or fabric and cover that insulation, I've done this in the past, very effective as both a table that nobody knows under the burlap or whatever you use to cover it is actually just insulation from Home Depot. And it acts as a quasi bass trap absorber. You know, it's just a lot of, for taking up square footage, it's got dual purpose now as an end table. So that's one tip that I wanted to share with you that I don't have in my room now. Another one is when you go into Home Depot, there's a box section that has, for moving, when you want to put clothes in a big box about this high off the ground, and you can actually hang stuff in it. It's got a bar or a space to put your bar for your clothing. So it's basically a clothing moving storage box. Well, you can get that big box and fill it with insulation. The simplest thing you can do. And like I've done right behind my listening chair, I have one of those boxes filled with insulation, covered it with black felt type fabric. Nobody even knows it's a bass trap right behind my seating position. And then on top of that, one of the cheapest room treatments you can do is basically a bookshelf. And behind my head is basically books, just, bookends, keeping those books there. A book is a great absorber, diffuser. It's just a great, books are the best type of room treatments that are natural and cheap. And then even behind that, I have some leftover no-res from my speaker build that I put up. And then I also have that diffuser that if you watch the Wilson Audio walkthrough video, they sell a diffuser type product. That woodworking thing I have behind me. So when I have all those three things behind my ears and then that bass trap behind me, that's one of the things that, if you remember the video when Doug came by, he's like, this is a small room, but it sounds like a big room. That's the big difference. People use visually to be prejudiced against, oh, you can't put big speakers in a small room. And most times you can't. But with the right treatments, all of a sudden now, that's why it sounds so much bigger, because I have so much treatment right behind my ears and my back that it's not the same as what you typically experience in a small room. So if you want to get those same results, these are some of the things I do, I'm sharing with you, that aren't that expensive. None of the stuff behind me other than the no-res and that diffuser box, which is, again, something you could do it yourself or buy from relatively cheap from a place like Wilson Audio, I think in the couple $100 range. So you can call them if you're interested in a pre-made one. But these are things you can do relatively cheap that make a big difference and give you the wow factor, both to you and other people coming in, because a lot of people just don't put that level of attention to their room and listening position. Now, let's get into very small scale things that you can do or extrapolate on a large scale, depending on what you think would be, conducive. Let me show you something that when you're doing woodworking nowadays, finding wood at a cheap price is hard. Finding, cutting it and, doing any kind of designs that are artistic and whatnot is difficult. That makes it wife friendly or decor friendly. So what are the cheaper ways I've found to get wood in an easy way to make some kind of wood treatment, room treatment out of it? And one thing that is extremely cheap, you can buy them in the hundreds, are clothespins. And clothespins can be easily connected with a ring that you can buy as well, super cheap on Amazon. And now this isn't a room treatment on its own, but I'm just showing you, I had some around my house. I just show you, you can go online and maybe I'll put up some pictures of all the different things, art you can do with clothespin. You can buy these clothespins for like almost a few bucks by the hundreds. And you can create a lot of artwork out of clothespins that, when it's completed, is actually, imagine this on a bigger scale, different angles and whatnot, a bigger piece. This could be a very effective diffuser that looks great and is a piece of artwork. And to this end, I've got something around my house I thought I'd show you. This is like a candle holder, but it's got rope. Basically, the candle would go in here. But you can use this, extrapolate this on the wall. This is actually fairly thick, and this is a great diffuser and somewhat of an absorber too. And you put this up to your tweeter, and you can tell how much it actually has some impact, or even your voice when you talk. There's a little bit of impact, and then if you extrapolate it to many of these on the wall, or these are even hangable, or you can go to like Michael's store, these styrofoam things that are readily available. You can insert these to whatever length. These also make good port pluggers for your speakers. If you have a port, different sizes of these. You can do a lot of creative things with these craft things that are very cheap. And even you could attach, the clothespins to this. There's a lot of clever things you can do. What you're looking for with most room treatments, because the things that I have is a big delta but in what they provide from the wall, at least 4 inches or so. So things that are thick, and creating a piece that would be thick or a lot of deltas and differences is what you want. Because if you look at a anechoic chamber, it doesn't even need to be little bitty differences. It's basically just always a difference at angles, deep, very deep angles, so that every surface that the even small wavelengths hit, it hits it at different lengths, and there's a large delta. And that delta helps diffuse the signal and make your room sound bigger than something that is equal and everything is bouncing off. Your mind just processes that differently. So this kind of thing actually has some depth to it. You can double it up. You can put many of them on the wall. Just giving you some ideas when you go in a craft store. These are kind of the things you want to look for. I'm also going to take the camera off of here and I'm going to show you what I did as well. These are also some really cheap ideas. So let me take a pause real quick and get the camera and show you some more things. Okay, again, these are on a small scale. You would just kind of showing, giving you an idea. I don't really need any more room treatments in here, so I'm not really doing these for my own purposes, but just kind of doing a little bit, not even affixing this to anything, to give you ideas for your own purposes. What you can get very cheaply is these pre-made frames without the glass, and these make for good frames if you don't have the woodworking skills to cut and make a box like that. You can buy these relatively cheap, and then you can buy them probably bigger than this. This is 11 by 14. You'd probably want a 16 by 20 to get or you can just double up to 11 by 14s like this. You can take these cones, get different sizes if you wanted in these cones, put them on here, glue them. You can paint them different colors, create a design, and these provide a really nice diffuser with both some absorption and obviously diffusion. What I liked about this, I had some of these rings around the house, and I saw these on Amazon really cheap. You can buy, and then you can stack, and you're almost creating cones with these rings. And then you can create different depths and obviously gaps in between. You can create whatever. And as you can tell, depending on how you paint this and how you create the different dimensions, this could actually be a piece of artwork too. So however much effort you want to put into it, this is kind of giving you another idea. Now, I also have these little, I don't even know what, I guess these are like little peg. Let me show you here. I just wanted to try this out, but I had these things that you basically put on the wall to kind of like to hang your jacket or something on a wall, or anything you want to, fix keychains or whatever on your wall. You would just screw this into the wall and then you can hang stuff from it. But these actually make for something very easy they're very cheap, and they're already, designed, cut, and have a screw here. So you could put these on here and create just rows of these. I simulated it in this plastic box for you. But you can imagine what that would look like as a great diffuser, because again, it's got depth. You've got rounded parts here, different types where the music, you would stagger these, better than I did here, and they would stay more firm. But you can have staggered, and then the sound would parse in between, permeate in between, hit off of this. You'd have a very nice diffuser here that looks pretty cool, depending on how you finish these and color wise. Or you can do what I did here with you can create different kind of wall art with this, and bigger ones, smaller ones. Again, these are all things that will help depending on what size you use and what designs you want to use and coloring. This is all stuff that can give you ideas relatively cheap that provide benefits, tangible benefits to your room. If you do enough of them and you place them properly, you can even do measurements to see what they do. So this was just a video to kind of give you some tips. Maybe one day I'll create one, full bore and show you guys, but thought I'd just give you a few tips right off the bat. Again, if you want to see some of my other do-it-yourself things other than the GR research, I have some really cool ideas for vibration control that has definitely worked for me and for other people. So go check out my very first primitive videos. They won't be great to look at from an aesthetic standpoint, but that's another thing. If you're in that do-it-yourself mode and like to do that kind of stuff, you may enjoy. So Hopefully you enjoyed. Sign up, subscribe if you did, and I'll see you back here soon.